Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first Brew Detroit podcast, recorded live, well, for us, here at Brew Detroit.
In front of a live studio audience.
Not for you guys. Live studio audience, right.
All of one.
Before we get into the podcast, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is Metropolitan Variety Store.
Excellent.
Metropolitan Bar and Kitchen. They are here in Detroit, and I'll tell you exactly where they are located as soon as my phone wants to work. They are located at 8047 Agnes Street in Detroit. So you have one half that's the variety store, one half that is the bar and kitchen, and then right in the middle, they have this little space where they're going to be doing some special things there. This month, Brew Detroit is actually the beer of the month, the brewery of the month for that space. So we'll get into that in a little bit later. But Metropolitan Variety Store, Metropolitan Bar and Kitchen.
Can somebody explain to me why the West Village is on the east side? Because it's in the West Village.
It is.
Way on the east side.
Same reason why people believe there's a South Detroit somewhere.
That's Journey's fault.
Some band decided that it was gonna be a thing.
As we call it, Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Windsor. So today we wanted to get a little bit into what happened last year with Brew Detroit. Brew Detroit, we're looking at about 3,700 barrels, a little over 3,700 barrels produced last year. So that was a big year for us. We introduced 16 new brands, including nano brands, our small batch stuff that you saw in cans, little 10-barrel batches. And then we also introduced the big one, the 140, which is our club at the end of the year. And then Depth 2 also. So those were the things that happened. And just to recap, in 2021, we're looking forward to a big 2022. We're looking at releasing, obviously, this podcast. This is episode 1. We have some more fun videos, as you may have seen, with our friends at Loaded Dice, who are our guests for today. And then, the same thing's going to happen. We're going to have some large batches that we're going to release. Telling you guys today, right now, the plan was to release Cerveza del Rey Oscura in small 10-barrel December, which we did, and then small 10-barrel batch for Cinco de Mayo. However, we have shifted gears dramatically and decided to go right to 100 barrels.
Is it because everybody loves it because it's delicious?
Yeah, it does really well.
Just checking.
So there's that. On top of everything else that we have going on, January, let's see, we're doing this podcast, obviously. And then, we're doing today, we have Loaded Dice in the building, which we are doing our collaboration beer.
Like right now. It smells right now. It's happening right now.
Yes, we're doing it at this exact moment. We pulled Jef away and Brian. No?
Yes.
Brian. Yes, sorry. Got it. Brian.
He's the one that's allowed to talk.
Yeah. I gave him a microphone, though, so I mean,
Sweet.
He's armed.
And then, we got our first small batch for January is going to be Pander Cub, which is the session follow-up to Pander Bear, which is also making its return in the first quarter. So you guys can expect that stuff. Now, Brew Detroit stuff out of the way. Let's get into our guests. We have Jeff Smith and Brian Bassett.
Yes.
Who are here from Loaded Dice Brewing Company. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming out. And then, of course, we got on the other mic here behind the ones and twos, Zach Clark. Go ahead and say hi, Zach. You can say hi,
Zach.
That's Zach.
We're excited to have you guys here. Let's get into it. So you guys bullied us really badly, and you guys were really mean to us. And I just want to really get down to it. That's the real reason why I wanted you guys on here, so you could explain yourselves and put it out there for the people.
Are we having a beef?
Yeah,
Am I in the middle of a beef?
We had a beef.
No. This is really fun. Jeff, if you can. First, let's talk a little bit about Loaded Dice. Tell people what they can expect, where you're at, and all that stuff.
First thing, like when you're spouting out those numbers, it was really intimidating. You're talking 10 barrels, which would be a 5-day brew day for us. But yeah, so we're a little nano brewery in Troy, Michigan, right off of Maple Road in Rochester. We do 2-barrel batches, constantly rotating our menu. We have pretty much only identified maybe 2 to 4 beers that we'll probably bring back regularly, and that means maybe once every few months we'll bring it back on tap. But fun little place, pretty small, tucked away in a strip mall. We have food trucks every night. If you guys haven't been out yet, you probably should. If you listen to any of the Zach stuff, he's a big proponent, big supporter of us. So we've had a really good year last year, for us, especially opening during a pandemic and, trying to kind of, find our way in that mess. We were pretty successful. We're looking for great things for 2022. This is one of our first things we're doing, this collab, which kind of on the coattails of this little feud that we created, which kind of came off because there was a brewery up north that kind of had a beef with me for, I'm going to use air quotes in a podcast, which is always great.
Are we going to say steal?
Oh, don't worry, we'll have video too.
Steal some ideas from him or them. Sorry, I won't name names, but it was.
Did they invent this idea?
I don't think.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, a barrel share program is invented.
No, I'm just a lottery.
Yeah, see, I put my own little spin on it this time for the future.
But my point is, you couldn't steal something that they didn't create.
Anyways, so I approached Dave at the beer fest in Detroit, and
that must have been quite the conversation.
Yeah. And it was early enough.
It was early enough.
We didn't find Jef after it, but before it was good.
Yeah, I made sure.
Jef was standing over by who had the flames.
Oh, shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't get Jef away from shorts.
Every 2 seconds I want that thing to blow up.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
The dragon?
I don't even know. It was a flame.
It was awesome.
That was hot, and I kept saying doing it again. Probably other curse words I can't.
There were.
But it was fun.
It was great. Anyway.
Yeah. So, talking to Dave, I came up with this idea of kind of doing like a little, let's say fake feud, but, exchange some social media. The thing, social media jabs with one another. The thing was going to be like drawn out, over a period of months. We kind of condensed it down.
At first we were talking, Jef was like, I want to do this for like 3 months. I was like,
I really wanted
people
to build.
are going to get really pissed. And we saw, even after like 3 weeks of it, people were really had your back though. Which is awesome.
Yeah, it was great to see. That's one of the encouraging things about having a super small brewery is like when you have people that support you, they are loyal as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or AF as the kids say.
No, it's totally fine.
Well, it is because it just happens. So.
Yeah. Take care of that in post.
Nope, good.
And they're spouting back. I'm sure that the people listening probably saw some of the posts, that went back and forth. I thought they're hilarious. They kind of grew. Each one was a little bit more, pointed, I guess would be the best.
I think it was the last one.
The last
beam was really like the people were fired up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I remember texting Jef. I was like, dude,
do
we need to pull back on this a little bit? Because people are really, really pissed. We started getting messages on our Instagram like
how dare you?
It was like it was an Underberg post, and somebody did like mad faces, and I was like, somebody really hates Underberg. And then I was like, do you not like Underberg? And they were like, I used to like your guys' stuff until you started picking on little breweries, and I was like, oh man. So like,
you busted yourself.
There were instances like that where I was like, look, somebody we didn't do it publicly. If somebody was like DMing us, I was gonna let the cat out of the bag to those people just to chill them.
You
out
tell
at
that
least.
person?
Oh yeah, for sure. Which was pretty. It was pretty close to when we did the actual reveal though. So I had to that guy. He knew everything that we were going to do. I was like, we're recording a video. We're gonna let everybody know. He was like, oh, okay, cool. Which he turned out to be mellowed out.
So I got to ask though, Jef, for you, not only doing the collab because you talk about being smaller, doing the collab plus the social media stuff has to be good for you. The goal with social media is share, right?
Yeah.
And if you can bounce off other things, other brands, right?
It was huge. I noticed a significant spike in far as outreach that I had in my social media campaigns and even likes to my page, which it all helps me greatly. So, the fact that Dave's willing to do it, and Brew Detroit was willing to put their name on it means a ton to me. It worked out really well. Better than I can anticipated, minus my bruised hip. So
Yeah.
That is the oldest thing Jef has ever said. By just taking notes here.
Go back, watch the video.
Yeah.
No,
I
absolutely.
had
The first take that we
PTSD
did
coming
was
here today.
Jef trying to pirouette over one of the plastic chairs.
No, I accomplished a pirouette.
You
That was
did the second time.
First one, it was pure parkour in my head.
Gotcha.
The second one was maybe I'll just try to get up on top of
Like
this
Michael
chair.
Scott parkour or like
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
very
the
heavily Michael Scott.
Yeah.
With a little Belushi added into it.
It got edited in the video. Like the actual fall is an actual fall in the video for sure.
So that, going back to like the thought behind like the start of it was because I literally was about to post something for the 969 Club when they posted the first thing for the 140 Club. And I'm like, you like I don't want to be the brewery that's like known for like spoofing off of other people's ideas.
Like you're the Carlos Mencia of brewing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. Thank you for that. So like I reached out.
Guy.
Well, whatever. I reached out to Dave, and I'm like, I was just seriously was going to do it. Like I listed what I was going to do, and I matched it up to the 140 Club, and he's like, I don't care. Do it.
Listen. We're in the brewing industry where like there's a ton of originality, obviously, but there's also a lot of parody.
There are only so many ideas. I'll just throw that out
there. You can go on Untappd and search for a name of a beer that you would think that would be a cool name for a beer. Guarantee there's at least one brewery that probably has that name. And if you get lucky, which we try to not follow that. We've done it in the past, like when we did Bring Out Your Dead, there was X amount of breweries that also had the name Bring Out Your Dead.
But that's not an unpopular thing to say, or an unknown phrase.
So it's like no, I don't care. I got into the craft beer community and the industry for the reason of working with people, because that's what I learned was the community was about. Actually, I learned that really heavily from Russell Springsteen.
I have one of his albums
from Right Brain. Russell Springsteen.
Oh, sorry.
He might have. He actually,
Russell Simmons.
He gets. He does a lot of stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Springsteen doesn't have an album somewhere. But early on, when I was getting into it, he was one of the big proponents of. We have a lot of competition on the shelves and in the market. Yeah. When we do these events, like that's the last thing we want to do is like, because I had an idea of doing an event a long time ago about like a beach volleyball tournament, and
they wouldn't do it.
But he didn't want to do it because and which I was fine with after he explained it to me. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Tell the story. I cut it off. It's a good one. That's right.
So Russell, we were doing this volleyball tournament at this place called On the Dunes, or we were trying to. And then I said, I want Right Brain and another brewery to go head to head and see who sells the most beer. And he was like, I love the idea about the volleyball tournament. Not pumped about going up against another brewery for a competition that doesn't really matter. It doesn't when we go out to these events, we want to, be with our friends and we want to do some fun things and not have to worry about competition. And I was super early on in the things that I was doing. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cause I wasn't brewing and I didn't own a business. I was just in it to do these big events. And I thought it was a great idea for a big event. So that kind of like switched my brain on how I was thinking about approaching different events and stuff like that. So shout out to Russell and Right Brain Brewery for that.
But that's one of the things that I've noticed too, because I'm totally an outsider and new to the community, the craft beer community, but like instantly you fall into this like rhythm, this group of people that you see more often than you think you would. I don't know how often, if you're a lawyer, right, you see other lawyers, right, because you're in court, whatever, but if you're a truck driver.
You don't think Fire and Morse just hang out?
Only on celebrity boxing. I'd pay for that. I'd pay a lot of money. Well, no, I wouldn't give those guys any money. No. Anyway.
Fire's got the reach.
Yeah, but the hair is just so terrible. It's very distracting. But the community to me is fascinating, and it's for the exact thing you guys are talking about, is that the fight for shelf space is just, I'm not sure there's a more brutal commerce battle than craft beer on a shelf, because the shelves aren't very big and there's a lot of brands, right?
Yeah, especially when you get like into a Michigan only area. I mean, we are just now starting to kind of dip our toe into that.
Yeah.
And, fortunately, the few places I put my stuff in, have been longtime supporters of mine. And they're like, yeah, we'll just knock this one over here and put that one there and wedge your two little cases right there. I'm not talking like I'm doing hundreds of cases. It's
right. It's not in Kroger like
right,
Cloud
it's
19.
One store with maybe I think the biggest one I've done was 6 cases, and it just went right prime location.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know anything about that, and it terrifies me because I don't know how to differentiate myself that well. But
I feel like that what you guys were talking about with you helping us as a big brewery and like our name getting out there. I mean, I've met people in Plymouth. I live out in Novi that, yeah, I've heard of Loaded Dice, and that's in Troy. That's a 45-minute, there's a brewery, there's a tap house in Novi that said, you guys got a tap handle if you want it. It's like that wouldn't have happened, I don't think, without Jef and being, in the community like that.
How much
Zach's talking about, is Zach is like, been one of our biggest supporters, and it's all over Twitter, and it's like that reach gets you, and it's amazing to have such good friends.
The great thing about like the craft beer community, especially in Michigan, I mean, it's all over the place. But when I look at specific groups like Ann Arbor Craft Beer Enthusiasts, DACB, any of those groups that are out there that help support all of the local breweries and spread the word about this stuff is delicious.
Ladies and gentlemen at Better on Draft do a great job of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we there are either people that ride solo, like Sean over at Draft Therapy, that really help push the smaller breweries, and
our friends at Som Beer do the same thing.
Yes, yep. So we have a really good community of not only just like the people who are the consumers and stuff like that and contribute to these message boards and groups and stuff like that, but we also have the media types that are really putting themselves out there on vlogs and blogs and other podcasts and stuff like that. So it's really tight knit, and those are the types of people who can really help out smaller breweries or even mid-sized breweries and the larger breweries if they're putting out quality product. You know what I mean? So it's good to see that's still going on.
And it's funny because it's not cliquish.
No.
It's
that surprises me. It really does, because it's not. You're right.
Like, it has a huge one-for-all mentality, and that's been the biggest surprise to me. Coming from corporate America, which I've been in,
and you're doing tech too, which is like hush hush.
Right. You have groups that like all fight for their own individual gain, and it's not like that. I mean, there is competition. Don't get me wrong. I want to do better than the other breweries in my area, but at the same time, they do better, I do better, kind of thing.
You're after the same dollar. You're not after each other, and I think that that's really important. And you hear it.
Well, I think dollars plural. Like, we're not. I mean, it's
the almighty dollar, the proverbial dollar,
right?
The royal dollar.
We're not trying to that one customer, because we know that one customer. In my case, will go from Cadillac Straits to me to Urban Rest in a night. And that's their path.
But that's not what I mean. The goal is to have as many customers come to your place as possible.
Yeah.
They can only be in one place at one time, right? But Ryan Bullick said this to me.
Sorry.
I mean, right. You can. I'll pass on that. But he's out. He's got Copper Hop and
Have you
St.
seen
Clair
his beard
stores.
lately? His beard is looking great.
Super impressed.
Yours is.
I have not seen him in a while though, so I'm now excited.
Sorry,
but the whole, if you look at St. Clair Shores, they've got a great. I think St. Clair Shores is the most underrated craft beer community, maybe in the state, definitely in the area. And every time they add a brewery, the other brewers are thrilled.
Yeah. Yep.
Because are you going to go, if you live in, I don't know, West Bloomfield, are you going to go all the way down to St. Clair Shores for Jam-X only?
No, I think you're going there for all four.
You shouldn't.
No, but I'm saying, let's say none of the other three existed.
Right, sure.
None of the other three existed.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
So are you going to go all the way down there for one brewery?
No.
But then now there's two, then there's three, then there's four, and now you can start to hop. And so to me,
And then you get those social districts; those are helping too. People want to walk around; they can get a beer at one.
And they've got St. Clair Shores has a great one right there in front of where they are. Yeah,
it's my old hood.
I think one thing I've learned is being humble.
Like on the water.
Like even the big one, like Brew Detroit, and and like all they're humble, and they take everybody on. I mean, I've been talked more than I thought I ever would as an assistant brewer. Like going to a beer festival and having owners of breweries come up and just sit there and talk to me for 20 minutes was really cool. He just teach me about their business plan and what they did and what what worked for them. And I going into this and think, okay, I'm just going to be Jeff's little, sidekick and not have the time of day. And Jeff took me under his wing and taught me so much. And it's just, you just got to be humble about it. And I think it's amazing. That's why I love this job.
I think it comes a lot with, where a lot of the Michigan breweries came from, right? Like a lot of them started off extremely small. Like if you would have gone over to Batch when they first opened, they opened as a nano brewery as well. And then you look at what they've done in 5 years. 5 years?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And he's even scaled it back a little bit.
Yeah. And
he's good at pivoting though. That's Steven's greatest talent to me is the ability to pivot with Fauci Fieldhouse. And I mean, he didn't have inside service the longest out of anybody. And I'm sure it was not pleasant, but also they've survived. Yeah. And that goes to me to show.
Fauci Fieldhouse?
Fauci Fieldhouse.
I heard that too.
That's what it's called.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It says it.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Now we know who
He
doesn't
deserves
go
his
to
own
Batch.
Fieldhouse.
No, I go to Batch every time I get one.
Both
Fauci
outrageous.
Actually, I had to make fun of
know.
Jeff because he was going to Batch and he wasn't coming over here.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, man, can you split it up?
So next time you go to Batch, look up.
Okay. I
Yeah,
don't
no, Fauci
normally
Fieldhouse. That's what
look
it's
up.
that's what it's
I
called.
learned that in the new Netflix movie that you don't look up.
Don't look up. Well, you do.
We do.
You do.
I was confused.
Spoiler alert.
Speaking of, that accent that Leo DiCaprio did was not great. I was really
What was he was supposed to have an accent?
Yeah, he was supposed to have a Michigan accent,
Yeah.
and it wasn't great.
Well, he was from Michigan State. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry. This is what you get when you have me on a podcast.
That's right.
We know.
So,
Zach is well aware
so
we
the
were
reason why you're
disappointed.
here, aside from talking on this podcast, is because you guys are brewing.
Yeah, let's talk about the collab.
The collab beer,
Yeah.
right? So, we are brewing a collaboration beer with Loaded Dice, which is you want to talk. You're the brewer. I am not the brewer. You guys are brewers. So I want you guys to talk about the beer. I'll talk about how cool it was leading up to.
Okay,
that's
that
what
works.
all of this stuff was, right? So like the fake feud, the awesome video that we did, that was all
The one in the
excellent.
closet?
But leading up to this beer,
Oh yeah,
which is called
Slow Play Kolsch. It's the Honey
Slow-
Kolsch.
Yes, it's a Honey Kolsch. Yeah.
Yeah. So I, for one, am not the biggest fan of Kolsch's. I don't make that a secret, but that doesn't stop me from making what has been requested of me. And
Kolsch's are too light. They're too small for Jeff. You can't punch somebody in the mouth with a Kolsch.
change
We
it.
It's not an
Try.
insult.
I might try it.
well,
I like big flavor. It's not an insult.
well, so
But
I mean,
Kolsch is crisp,
the other
clean, light.
the other thing is like I have taken steps to be able to actually brew and ferment a Kolsch like it should be, because when I opened, I didn't have great temperature. Well, I didn't have any temperature control, so I was doing everything with a yeast that can be fermented at a very high degree.
Yeah.
So I've been taking steps to get to this point, very, I guess, strategically or economically. When I could afford it, I would reinvest into the systems, and now I have the ability to do a Kolsch. And when Dave and I started talking, I'm like, I've never done a Kolsch. We should do a Kolsch because it's one of those good little springtime beers, and the fact that we're adding honey to it's just going to make it even pop a little bit more.
Just in time for Hop Slam with all that honey in it.
Yeah, maybe.
Aren't that comes out this
I'm
week?
kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Does
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
See, there you go.
It used to be
Perfect.
such an event.
Yeah.
But
That and
What?
Oberon and
Well, I mean, but
their
that's that's because it used to be there was no distribution network.
talking about our
yeah.
beer, let's not talk about Bell's. If it wasn't for Bell's, none of us would
The
be at
jealousy
table
from
right
Jeff, I can feel it radiating.
Yeah,
like
it's
it
through
hurts
you.
my right side.
through
Well,
you.
KBS used to be an event too. Now it's
Yeah, I used
We're not
to do.
here
I used
to
to do
shit
KBS
on
events.
beer.
I'm just saying it's because of distribution networks are much wider. It used to be harder to get. You had to go to
Shit.
fewer places.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway, Zach, we're talking about slow play. Honey
slow
Kolsch.
play honey
I
Kolsch.
slow played it.
Yeah. So the name itself is actually Dave's idea because we did this kind of slow burn with the social media stuff and the feud. Slow play Kolsch, the Honey Kolsch, actually made sense from a naming standpoint. It fits our brand. It fits them in a way because I love all the names that they have. The Panda Beer, the the Pleasant IPA, and it's just I think we do a lot of similar things. They just happen to do it at a bigger scale, much bigger scale than we do. We're drinking, the cold brew stout at, I probably shouldn't be drinking at noon.
What do you mean?
But
It's a perfect.
it
Yeah,
is.
well, we started drinking this in
Should have
the
drank it
morning.
at 10.
Yeah.
We're talking
It
about
should
like
be.
This was the
5
morning
o'clock
when
somewhere.
this was the
So much
morning
for dry
sport.
January.
Yeah.
Right out the door.
Moist January.
Moist January.
Moist. I like dryish better than
It's okay.
moist.
Yeah. Dryish.
Brute.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
So I mean, expectation wise, right? I mean, Jeff, you said like this isn't really your normal.
Yeah, it's not my
forte.
wheelhouse.
So, but I mean, so what's that like for you to do something that's a little more, maybe not challenging, but just the lack of muscle memory that you'd have because you don't brew that way, that style normally.
It's kind of to prove to myself and to the fans of the brewery and the people that like don't come to the brewery because I don't brew this style that we can do it. I mean, that's if you've been in recently, I've done a Doppelbock. I've done I have a Czech Pilsner right now.
Those are both so good.
Yeah, and I'm not fit. Geez, don't call me right now. Sorry, got a phone call. Of course. I'm not really trying to get away from the stuff that's like made me know, like Fruity Pebble beer and putting
50 pounds of Sour Patch Kids in it.
yeah, like that's all fun stuff. But at the same time, I think where I want to progress and grow into a brewery, I need to do classic styles. So every third or fourth beer now, I'm trying to do a little bit something that's a challenge to me as a brewer. I mean, I haven't brewed these styles since I was a home brewer. I can't remember ever brewing a Kolsch. Doppelbock, because that's my jam. That's what I drink usually.
Right. Yeah.
I brewed those several times. But on a bigger scale, it's a different beast. I can't just tuck it down in my basement and hope it turns out.
Right.
Now it's this Kolsch I think is gonna be really good. We're brewing it here today with Eric, and
You get a benefit from that, being able to do it here where there's more space.
I mean,
I don't say that glibly. I'm serious.
Well, we're gonna brew it at my space on Thursday.
Yeah. We'll be over there.
So you going back and forth?
Yeah, so it's going to be, collabed, I guess. I don't know, but what you would call it. That's so we can actually have it on tap too, because I think people are going to be coming for both. What happened with the other places I've done collabs, they want to taste both of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And our recipe is really similar. I think our ratios are just slightly off. We're talking about maybe 2 to 3% on different grains, and we were using the same yeast. They're using a different hop. We're using a little bit more of a bittering hop. So it should be interesting to see how they kind of come out. So
you definitely want to try them both. I mean, it'll be fun to. My plan is to grab one of our crowlers here, take them over there. Or vice versa, and just do side by sides, and
you guys did that with
celebrate
Krampus.
it. Yeah, and then we'll be working on something of a release party that we'll be able to announce, and then for sure. So we'll be able to set a date. Going off the Animal House video, we were thinking about doing a toga party, right?
I'm in.
So it'll be fun. It's something that I'm really excited for. And then because this is one of our small batches, you'll be able to see these cans at a small capacity, probably around 57 to 60 cases around the state of Michigan, with both the Brew Detroit and Loaded Dice Brewery
huge for me.
Amazing
logos on it, right?
So it'll be great.
Yeah. So thank you guys very much for coming out. This is the very first podcast. Thanks for being our first guests. Zach, thank you very much for all your hard work on this.
Stuck with me. So.
Tommy behind the camera over there.
Hi,
Eric
Tommy.
Selberg, our head nano and innovative brewer who couldn't be up here today because he's back there brewing. So next time we'll try to get Eric on here. But stay tuned. I believe our next guests for February are the Brews Brothers. So we'll have Harry, Wayne, hopefully Sasha, and whoever else they want to bring, Christian, out there to where
Can I crash that
we'll
one?
get the Brews Brothers. Anybody can come hang out. I mean, it's a party.
You don't want
It's a party. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. And then don't forget to visit Metropolitan Variety Store, Metropolitan Bar and Kitchen. They have a great menu. They have a great store. Chef Brendan, am I saying that? Oh, hopefully it's right. I don't think it's Brandon. Either way, Brandon.
Well, it's already going to be embarrassing because you've questioned yourself on the air.
It's going to be very embarrassing when I see.
Let's go with Chef.
Well, here's what we do know, though, is that what Ashley Price was doing at Holiday Market has come over to Metropolitan.
Yeah,
big time.
He's like been able to open up and do way more things.
It's wild.
Yeah. So we will, if you guys have been here, we will be having a dinner at Metropolitan. We're working on possibly some way to figure out a virtual dinner for people to be able to take this to go outside of the kitchen. But there will be also a small crowd that will be able to have this dinner
The restaurant's
at
really
the bar
small.
and kitchen.
Yeah, the restaurant's really small.
So you can
Uninvited.
expect a few
building.
things, a few special things that'll be there. We're going to have our rye barrel-aged barley wine that we have on right now. That will be there.
The Mittens?
That is Liquid Mittens. It's 11% barley wine aged in Detroit City Distilling rye
That's
barrel.
next, I think.
That's delicious. Look out for that
Another
stuff.
great homegrown brand, Detroit City Distillery.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's that's the whole point of the collaborating
Motor City
with
Gas.
with everybody that's in the city, outside of the city, small breweries. That's the point of this podcast, right? So we're nobody is going to be left out. Whoever wants to be a part of this, barring the space that we have and the time that we have to record a podcast.
Shit, we let Jeff in, so I mean,
Yeah, we let
obviously we're
Jeff
wide
in.
open.
We let him in first, which
Still
we'll
wondering
see
why
if that was a
that
mistake or
happened,
not after this episode gets launched. But
Now
thank
you
you
got
guys
me.
again. Zach, thank you. Tommy, thank you. Everybody,
Thank you
thank you
guys.
very much for
Appreciate
tuning in.
it.
Appreciate
And we'll see you in February.
Perfect.
Cheers.